So we sent Jess Gill out to talk to some people on the street, ask them what did they think about the Conservative Party, because of course the Conservative Party had been doing so well, and I thought we'd get some authentic answers from regular people.
What hellhole is she reporting from? I'm sorry to jump the gun, but
Shoreditch.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at the image.
Would you like to tell us about Shoreditch before we begin?
It's a very expensive and bougie area.
Really? Look at it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, they love it. They love it.
They do, yeah.
This to them is character.
You know, like, you've been to Brighton, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know the side streets that are all full of market stalls that nobody wants to buy anything of, and that we look at the graffiti and think that's an eyesore, but they think it's an artistic expression.
Yeah, because they think it's like an expression of like the working class or the oppressed underclass and stuff like this. So to them, this is kind of slumming it, but in a very safe way. So you've got like the children of multimillionaire businessmen who go out and do their like gang tags or something.
It's middle class LARPing.
It's total LARPing, right? And so they think this is cool. They think this is edgy and hip, but it's also very safe for them.
Nightjar's a good bar there, though, if anyone's...
Sure, it's great. But anyway, let's see what Jess got up to.
Hi, my name is Jess, and this is the podcast, The Lotus Eaters. Today I'm in Shoreditch asking people what they think about the current government and what key issues will inform their decision on voting next general election. So, who do you vote for?
I don't vote.
Why not?
Because I don't see the point.
So, what do you think of the Conservative Party? Think about the government.
The actual government right now.
Yeah, the Conservative government.
Bunch of pigs.
What do you think about the Conservative Party?
They're shit. I hate them.
Why?
Well, they're a bunch of fucking fascists, aren't they?
Who do you vote for?
Nobody. Yeah, no idea at the moment. It's so bad. Neither.
Think about the government.
We're not from London, but we like the government.
Why?
I think because they support Israel.
What's your opinion on the Conservative Party?
Not a fan.
Why?
Because they fucked a lot of stuff up recently.
So what type of beliefs do you disagree with?
Many beliefs. I mean, specifically at the moment, if we're talking about the conflict in Palestine and the fact that I feel like our country is doing the least that it can do for something that desperately needs our aid, needs everyone's help. I mean, even, if you're all watching, there's so much that you can do right now for all of this. So talk to your MP right now, your local MP, repost stuff, do everything that you can. It's really important right now. So,
what are the main key issues that you disagree with the Conservative Party on?
Oh, almost everything.
Like what?
Well, their positions on Gaza, their positions on just immigration in general. Welfare is a big thing for me. Just the way they've treated the welfare state since 2010 is, in my view, disgusting. Austerity has completely destroyed this country. And the sad thing is, I think if Labour even get into power, I don't think much will change.
What would you say are the biggest issues that you care about?
I don't know. I was expecting these many questions.
Usually it's fashion questions.
You can name as many as you want.
Oh my god, there's so many right now. I mean, poverty issues, homelessness, everything.
Climate change, more affordable travel,
trans youths, etc. I mean, trans people in general in the country right now. LGBT,
all of that.
Pretty much everything that there is.
Mental health, safety.
So what, in the next general election, what are the key issues that will make you vote either Labour or Conservative?
Funding in education, probably more green policies as well, which is quite important, especially I think in London.
What are the key issues that you care about?
Environmental policy, social policy, and essentially.
What do you mean by social policy?
Fund the NHS, please. And also stop helping rich people not pay their taxes.
What do you think the government should do in terms of Israel and Palestine?
Oh, I mean, if I'm honest, I'm not somebody who I don't feel like I'm qualified to be able to speak on that larger
I half expect
amount.
to say glass the
both
desert, so
Labour and Conservatives are out of touch with the general person living in the UK.
Has this always been the case, or is it just recently you felt more disillusioned?
Recently, I feel more disillusioned.
No, it's always been the case.
What topics do you think they're out of touch with?
I mean, the list it's a long list. I just don't really, I don't know, I wouldn't know if there's specific topics. It's just, they're just not. I just think if you look at what, like, their decisions and the things have been, the latest kind of, I mean, look, it's just been a bit of a car crash, hasn't it? The last, like, for politics in general and the way the country's been run. So
I think at the moment, Labour isn't really a good alternative. There is no good alternative because, like, Keir Starmer's so centrist that there is no left option really at the moment in the way that the system all works. But I would say for me at the moment, the biggest issue is, like, everything that's going on with LGBTQI and all the trans stuff. Like, that's just really, taking the biscuit.
What do you think about the government's action towards LGBTQ plus people?
Ooh. All the speeches and the way that it feels like we're kind of going backwards in a way. Like, it feels like we were starting to get a little bit more awareness and starting to, like, be a little bit more open. And then all the, like, that speech that they did recently about trans rights and trans people and, like, the whole classic two gender speech. I think it's just so vulgar that they're able to say that out loud and so forthright. Like, it's always been implied and it's always been disgusting that they've implied it, but the fact that they say it outright and so many people just agreed, and it's crazy. I think it's opened a lot of eyes, including my own, to how there is still so much left to do, and, like, it's really not coming in the way that it should do.
I feel like there's a whole lack of space and voice, especially for trans youths at the moment. You know, this isn't an issue that's easy to take on, but also, you know, I mean, I think we're in a position right now where we're seeing in so many different cases, issues, people are losing their lives and nothing is being done about all these. So
what do you think about Suella Braverman?
I mean, like, the worst of the worst. Like, I mean, I'm happy that she's gone, but I almost think she's now outside, instead of being inside the tent pissing out, she's outside the tent pissing in now. She can just spew all her stuff and not care what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? She's not, what's the word, constricted by being in government anymore.
What do you mean by both parties are the same?
I mean, you know, they divide people, left, right, conservative, I don't know the other one.
French.
To be honest, they are all the same. So they're all doing the same shit to us. So I don't care. So I don't vote.
What do you think that says about the Conservative Party and the direction that they're going in?
I think they're out of ideas. I think, like, you know, the boat's going down and they're trying to pale out water and it's just not working and they don't know what to do.
I mean, I think on the last point, he's right there. Thoughts?
The most reasonable were the gay burglars from Home Alone, so they did all right, I suppose. Other than that, I'm not really going to trust the political opinions of the woman with 8-inch fake eyelashes and bright red hair.
But what I love is this, they're all NPCs.
Yeah.
Whenever challenged on any one of these things, they're like, can you give me an example? And it's like, no, I just feel this way because I've been told I ought to feel this way. What do you care about? Oh, LGBT, Gaza, and climate change.
Yeah.
How do any of those things affect your life?
Zero.
But I have read about them.
Yeah, exactly. They affect someone somewhere else. Just unbelievable tepidness. And remember, all these people's votes count as much as yours, which I just, oh God.
How many Londoners are there?
Too many. Hi folks, we've rolled out a new feature on the website, which is the ability to pay for an individual piece of content. So usually it's £5 a month every month to subscribe to all of the content on the website. But I appreciate there are going to be people who simply don't want to do that. They would be interested instead in purchasing a single piece of content for a lower amount, and they've got a particular niche that they're interested in watching. And so they don't want every single piece of content. They just want this one thing. So we've introduced this function where you can just simply purchase the one thing for £1.89, which I think is about $2.30 at the current exchange rates. And then that's just yours forever. So there's no sort of commitment there. There's no rolling subscription. It's just that one thing. So that's an option now that's on the website. It's completely live. It's completely available. And please go and enjoy it. And we'll see you all very soon.
I mean, I don't know what the point in this segment was, but it has convinced me that glassing London might be a solution.
Well,
I still live there.
Big glass dome to contain... I'm sorry, but we got to stop the spread. Just 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
It's just proof of Winston Churchill's the best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. You don't even need 5 minutes, right? You can have 2 minutes.
Universal suffrage wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, you can have 2 minutes with the average voter and realize they don't know anything, they're not interested in anything, and they just do as they're told.
You know what is true though, that this is the universal suffrage point is wrong for the British public, because of all of the vox pops in the world, at least when I see vox pops of Americans, there's a sense of understanding that there should be a debate most of the time. When you see the Australians, because of their weirdness, there is a more professionality about their approach to politics.
Yeah, because they have to vote, so they have to be involved in politics.
Not great. Don't get me wrong, it's still embarrassing. There's a reason those clips exist for people to laugh at. But looking at the British public, I mean, it really is painful. I don't know if I sent you that clip in the end of the lady who...
I've seen it before.
No, the one of... There's this guy who interviewed a bunch of people, did Vox Pops in 1803.
Oh, really?
And the responses are the same. That's the thing. Nothing's changed. That's the story, really.
But what I love about this, so there's not enough space for trans voices. So isn't there really for this 0.1% of the population, we don't talk about them enough? Yeah. It's like, what should we do about Gaza? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. Now you know why the political system, everyone that's like, okay, there's a bit of an intractable problem. No one's got a ready solution. Now you know why they're not doing a great job on that.
But it's also her immediate responses. There's so much you can do. Write to your MP. And as soon as, okay, what should we do? Error 404. It's because you want to be seen to be doing something. Yes. You don't have the actual competency in order to do anything. Yes. One of the best things that Chris Williamson told me recently, and he said this to Douglas Murray in a recent episode, and he said, never be afraid to not talk about something that you don't know about.
Oh yeah.
If you're provoked, what's your take on this? You don't have to have a take on it.
Yeah, just say I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I quite liked the lady actually who just went.
Yeah, the French lady who's just like, oh, which one?
No, but when any of them said I don't know, I was just like, no, good. That's
stop
a good
giving an opinion.
That's actually something wrong I said about that Vox Pops from 1803. There is a beautiful one where they ask someone about, I think it's Jesus Christ, and the fellow responds, "Why, he's no customer of mine. I don't know him." But he just doesn't know what Christianity is. So he's just like, well, he doesn't buy goods off me. So
I mean, he makes a good point, But
I love that no customer of mine, literally not even interested. There's not even a desire to learn.
Well, this is why when we were at Exeter, I said it's a cruelty to inflict politics on the Dino. It's also a cruelty to everyone around him who is equally as involved in politics and has some solutions, but has their competency diminished by the fact that Dino can vote and he may choose to, even if he's been persuaded to pick the wrong person because he doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
But I love the guys like, the Conservatives, they're fascists. And then later on, he's like, okay, they're not actually fascists. I was overstating a bit.
So he was looking for approval for the girl on his right, staring at him like his mum.
It's like this incredibly just left-wing milieu that these people live in. So fund the NHS. Like, my brother in Christ, the NHS has never received more funding in all of history.
But it's never reserved a cut.
Sorry?
It's never reserved a cut.
Yeah, no.
If you actually go and look at the data of the chat,
it's just
in real terms, they get more money every single year.
Yeah.
If you asked him about his rent to live in Shoreditch, right?
Not one of them mentioned it, but it's undoubtedly going to be.
Well, he turned around and said, "Oh, stop letting rich people evade tax." Now, either your dad gives you enough money that you get to live in Shoreditch as a 20-year-old, or you're going to turn around and say, "Oh, rent's bloody extortionate." I mean, all these old people that are still around, like renting out all these properties so I can't get a house, and they're buying up the housing market, and they're not going to once touch on immigration either. So the problems that are immediately affecting them are staring them right in the face, but they don't connect it to the issues because they're politically taboo. And instead, as you said, they talk about Gaza, climate change, and LGBT stuff, which doesn't affect them even remotely.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, there were just so many in there where it's just, I mean, I would love to have done those Vox Pops myself, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah,
Jess is quite inoffensive towards people.
Well, also, I'd hate to see your response in real time, because you'd have someone say to you, "My main issue is not my rent." They don't understand that. They're just like LGBT youth. You're just going to stare at them and start screaming.
It's also tiresome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, basically, just. But one thing I liked was the two older ladies who are like, disillusioned with politics. That basically there's no good options. Has it always been this way? One was like yes, one was like no, and I think that does show. I think there is a change, and I think it hasn't always been this way, because I remember a time when it wasn't quite this bad. But I think that is a genuine sort of actual slice of normal people. They weren't just like internet leftoids who are constantly on Twitter, like virtue signaling about Gaza or LGBT or whatever. They were just like, I just don't know what's going on.
Well, when you have Conservative Party politicians who are saying that our own party is doing nothing and this is an intractable problem, that does show that there is a sea change, because they're speaking to the British public saying, you voted us for this. We're trying to do this. We're being stopped at every turn. What do you want us to do? That wouldn't have been the case before.
No. someone would have done something.
Yes.
Even if it was the wrong thing. But then sorry,
You are so right, though. I mean, if someone does Vox Pop, I mean, the main issue for me is rent.
Yeah.
Just there's a thing that actually affects human beings who live in this current time. The increase in rent is probably the most thing that you could try and change. But as you correctly say, how do you change it? Well, issue number one is immigration.
Well,
and in Shoreditch, I mean, who is going to actually say that? I suppose.
Same with the NHS thing. It's really the 20-year-old guy who uses the NHS a lot. Yeah, he's always there because he's constantly saying, no, you've never
get his hip replaced.
Yeah, exactly. You've never used the NHS. You know, this is all abstract to these people. And so it just goes to show you like what's on the minds of just regular people when you stop them. And it turns out it's nothing that affects their actual lives that they talk about when they're asked politically.
So what do you think
all of them instinctive revulsion against the Conservatives.
So what do you think of this idea that all of that stuff, I mean, you get told it quite a bit, that all of it is made to just distract you from the real problems?
Well, I mean, it's certainly working, isn't it?
I mean, because that has worked, if that was a goal intended.
It's definitely a side effect.
But it's not just that cynical. There are vested financial and ideological interests there. It's like when we were talking about the trans debate before, it's not just that they are trying to distract you with a minoritarian concern. It's that there is a large elite-driven transhumanist lobby behind it, and also there is certain pathologically compassionate people who've worked themselves up into a frenzy, saying all these trans kids are going to kill themselves unless we give them X treatment. So therefore, they are literally going to die unless we do this.
And one of them said there was it implied there was some kind of trans genocide going on.
Yes,
it's like okay,
name 10.
Yeah, name one.
Name 10 books.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I love hearing from the British public.
I suppose we might do more of that.
It was. If you enjoy that, let us know. Post comments talking about it in the comments because I really want to read your opinions on them.
Jess also did this has been plugged as well. Recent documentary on men. It's just a mini thing, and it had a few friends of the show in it, like Chris and Nina Power, and I did a bit for it from the second studio. So if you want to see more of Jess's stuff, go watch that.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the premium videos, this one on a history of British censorship. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.